Good morning. I want to tell you a secret maybe you don't know yet. The world isn't fair. Life isn't fair. The world isn't kind. But you know something? We can be. Just because the world isn't fair doesn't mean we can't be as Christians. The world's talked about religion and how religion does this and religion does that. But we don't really have a religion. The definition of religion is controversial and a complicated subject in religious studies, with scholars failing to agree on any one definition. The Oxford Dictionary defines religion as the belief in and or the worship of a superhuman controlling power, especially a personal god or gods. But we're followers of Jesus Christ. The dictionary says a Christian is a person who has received Christian baptism or is a believer in Christianity. A born-again Christian. The Bible tells us a person who believes in Jesus Christ and follows his teachings, a member of the Christian church. And there is the important part, following his teaching. The teaching of Jesus isn't just teaching per se, it's a lifestyle. Following the example of Jesus. Not a lot of rules, not a lot of regulations, no entrance qualifications to be a Christian. You don't have to have all these educational things and punch the buttons and things like that to get in. It is an exclusive club to belong to. In fact, it's made up of sinners, liars, people who have done wrong. And Jesus is actively recruiting new members. Jesus is different from the world he lived in and even from today's world. Let me read you a scripture. It's out of Galatians 6, verse 9 and 10. And let us not grow weary while doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all, especially to those who are of the household of faith. We skip over to Ephesians 31, chapter 4. Let all bitterness, let all bitterness, wrath, anger, clamor, and evil speaking be I'm losing my voice. Let all bitterness, wrath, anger, clamor, and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, just as God in Christ also forgave you. As I said, Jesus is different from the world he was born in and the world we live in today. A quote I just read recently says that religion shames people for having dirty feet, but Jesus knelt down and washed them. I just read a story of a friend of mine that he posted online, John Kopp, and he was coming back from Morgantown at a doctor's appointment, and a person stopped him at the gas station. John just put gas in at the Liberty Station in Mount Storm, and he said he had $100 and he put 30 gas in, had 70 left, I guess. And the guy told him that he'd lost his wallet and he had no money and he needed to get home to New York, and could he help? And John saw the car had New York tags and there was a woman sitting in there crying, and John felt that he really needed help, and he gave him the money he had left. Well, when the guy left, he said he was a jeweler, and gave John a gold chain and a St. Christopher's medal. Well, everybody that read the story, half of them, well, it's a scam, it's happened before, you got taken, and all these things. I saw the exact same thing happen online to different people, the exact same story and everything. But you know what? He did what he was felt right in his heart. Even if John was scammed, I believe God blessed him for trying to help someone in good faith. And that's what God asks us to do, to try to help people. We're not to try to discern and look at this person and say, okay, let me get a background check, let me get your fingerprints, let me get the FBI report, and then if everything checks out, I'll help you. No, God doesn't work that way. He said we're to love others. In John 21:15, when they had finished eating, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? Yes, Lord, he said, you know that I love you. Jesus said, feed my lambs. Again, Jesus said, Simon, son of John, do you love me, son of Jonah? He answered, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. Jesus said, take care of my sheep. The third time he said to him, Simon, son of Jonah, do you love me? Peter was hurt because Jesus asked him the third time, do you love me? He said, Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you. Jesus said, feed my sheep. Jesus asked Peter 3 times, do you love me? It's recorded in the book of John. This occurred while Jesus was having breakfast with his disciples soon after his resurrection. Jesus used this opportunity to encourage and exhort Peter about his upcoming responsibilities, and even to prophesy a little bit on the manner in which Peter would die. But asking Peter, do you love me 3 times, he also emphasized the importance of Peter's love and his obedience to God, and the importance Jesus put on feeding his sheep, his people. Jesus wanted Peter to have no doubt about caring for the people. Jesus told Peter to feed his sheep, but nowhere did he say, judge my sheep and see which ones are worthy of being fed. Look at my sheep and pick out the good ones and feed them. He didn't say, pick out the sheep that you like. No, he didn't say that. He said, feed my sheep. Take care of my lambs. 3 times. And he asked Peter, do you love me? Emphasizing, if you love me, you're going to take care of my sheep. We have that same commandment to feed his sheep. And just like John did, I try to help people. We ought to. Have I been scammed? I'm sure. But the thing of it is, if I give from my heart, thinking I'm helping somebody, I'm doing what God has asked me to do. Excuse me, I'm really losing my voice. You know, the world tells us about scams. It tells us to judge who we help. But you know, Jesus just said, feed my sheep. He makes it simple. Feed my sheep. Jesus offered mercy and grace, and the world offers judgment. You know, this past Sunday, I was really tired. I had worked I'm sorry, I'm going to have to get a drink, and my voice isn't doing good. Yeah, it's Mountain Dew, not water. Last week, I'd worked the carnival for 3 nights at the bingo stand, and I was tired. I had done a funeral, and Sunday I did 3 services, and I was whipped, and I was on my way home. I stopped at a store to get a Mountain Dew. I was thirsty, my voice was tired, and I went in, and they had a woman training to take over, to run the store. And I got my Mountain Dew, and I got in line, and of course the person ahead of me was getting some food items and different things, which is going to take a little while. And then they paid by credit card, and they were training this woman how to do it. I knew the woman. She's a very nice woman. She used to work at another store I went to, and she was learning this new system. But it was taking time, because it takes time to run a credit card through and to show her how to put her code in the computer and everything like that. And I was getting impatient. Man, I just wanted to get my Mountain Dew and get out of there. It was hot. I just wanted to go home and suck on some cold Mountain Dew on the way. So finally, and I say finally, I got up there. And then they had to show her again how to put her code in the computer and scan everything. And then she scanned the Mountain Dew twice. And then they said, well, you got to be careful. You don't scan stuff twice. And they showed her how to take it out. And she looked at me and she said, I'm so sorry. And I could have said, yeah, it's okay, or something like that, which wouldn't have offered no grace, no mercy. And, they say when your life is ending, everything, your whole life goes by you in a split second, like if you're going to get in a wreck or something. I don't know about that. But I do know that a bunch of thoughts went through my head in a split second. And I remembered seemingly all the times that I started new jobs and people were impatient and mean and how it made me feel. So I looked at her and I said, you know something? I said, you're doing fine. I said, it takes time to learn to do new systems and stuff. I said, we all start out at different places and new, and we have to learn. I said, you take your time. I'm in no hurry. And you know something? At that time, I wasn't in no hurry. The most important thing was to let her know that I was offering her mercy and grace. And she gave me a big smile and took care of me. And I hope the rest of the people that day treated her with mercy and grace, because it's not easy starting a new job and taking care of people, especially in this world where a lot of people are not kind. A lot of people are very impatient, and a lot of people are judgmental. You know, we're given chances every day to offer mercy and grace. But do we? Or do we just offer silence? You know, when we don't even say anything, silence is a choice. When we don't even acknowledge, when somebody would say, I'm sorry, or I'm learning, and we don't even acknowledge, that shows judgment. You know, funerals often tell people that when you leave this world, most people, just about everybody, they don't remember your money. They don't remember how many cars you had. You know, they don't remember if you wore a suit every day or blue jeans when you went to church. They don't remember if you had a summer home or a vacation cabin or a hunting cabin. But what they do remember is how you made them feel, good or bad. I hear that a lot at funerals. People talk about what a good person so-and-so was. And I have a time or two heard about how they didn't make people feel very good, that they were mean and grumpy. How do we make people feel? Not just our family and friends, but those we meet in stores, at work, those we interact with during our day. You know, people we don't know, like a store clerk, a waitress, and maybe those who we pay for services, maybe to mow our lawn or paint our wall or in our house or something like that. How do we make them feel? Are we just? Do we offer kindness? We're to love and show kindness to all, even those we don't like, even to those who don't like us, even to those who judge us. In Matthew 5:40-43 it says, and if anyone would sue you and take your tunic, let him have your cloak as well. And if anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with him 2 miles. Give to the one who begs from you, and do not refuse the one who would borrow from you. You have heard it said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Pretty clear, isn't it? Now let me read some scriptures in Luke that emphasizes this. Luke 6 at verse 27. In my Bible says, rules of kingdom life. And we all want to live a kingdom life, don't we? But I say to you who hear, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, and pray for those who spitefully use you. To him who strikes you on the one cheek, offer the other also. And from him who takes away your cloak, do not withhold your tunic either. Give to everyone who asks of you, and from him who takes away your goods, do not ask them back. And just as you want men to do to you, you also do to them likewise. But if you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. And if you lend to those from whom you hope to receive back, what credit is that to you? For even sinners lend to sinners to receive as much back. But love your enemies. Do good and lend, hoping for nothing in return, and your reward will be great. And you will be sons of the highest, for he is kind to the unthankful and evil. Therefore, be merciful, just as your Father also is merciful. Judge not, and you shall not be judged. Condemn not, and you shall not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be put into your bosom. For with the same measure that you use, it will be measured back to you. What a concept. You see, even in today's world, Jesus was radical. Because, you know, we don't follow that a lot of times. You know, do unto others. You know, if somebody hits you, we want to hit them back. We don't want to turn that other cheek. And we don't want to give stuff to people who's not going to give it back. If I loan somebody some money, I want it back. But Jesus says no. He said, love others. I want to leave you some questions here. I wonder what our world would look like if the next generation became leaders in kindness. You know, the potential of kindness is quite literally unlimited. But we only grasp it when everybody does it. You know, it's so unusual that when somebody does an act of kindness, like pay for somebody's meal behind them in McDonald's drive-through or Dunkin' Donuts or something, they put it on Facebook and social media because it's such a unusual thing that happens. Somebody was actually kind in this world. Huh. Even small acts of kindness can make a big difference. God told us that the world would give us trials, but we are to remain in Christ to have peace in this world. In John 16, verse 33, he said, "These things I have spoken to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer, I have overcome the world." The Bible tells us we're to be kind, to be fair, to love and offer grace in a world that does not. It's repeated in many different places in the Bible. We know God rewards us for obeying his word. And let me leave you with a worldly, excuse me, let me leave you for a, hopefully I can still talk by Sunday, since this is Thursday. Now let me leave you with a worldly reward for being kind. Practicing kindness, Practicing kindness to ourselves and others can provide physical and mental improvements in our body, like lowered stress levels and increased production of feel-good hormones like dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin. Being kind also boosts the immune system, reduces blood pressure, and reduces anxiety. Fortunately, being kind isn't difficult, and it's a great thing is you'll get these amazing side effects from being kind. Plus, you'll be doing God's will and work and get rewarded from him for being kind. A double win. So I'm going to go ahead and rest my voice and get off here. But God bless you. Hopefully I make you feel loved and part of our church family. If I don't, let me know, and I'll certainly apologize and try to do better. I want to be kind, but I'm not perfect. I get grouchy and grumpy, but I need to remember, as we all need to remember, that God tells us to love others and to be kind, even when we don't feel like it. So you go enjoy this day, the day that God made, and remember, be kind. It blesses you in so many ways, as it also blesses the one you're kind to. God bless.